For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications. Hello friends, welcome to Tech ARKIT YouTube channel. My name is Ravi. In this video session, we are going to talk about Ansible inventory. So creating a manual inventory files and how you can create the inventory files and what is important when you are creating the inventory files. So let's begin the session.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
So now if you go to the Ansible inventory, Ansible works against multiple systems in your infrastructure at the same time, because when if you are going to the single machine and executing some command, and if you want to execute the same command in a multiple hundreds of servers, then that's what we need, right? That's what the Ansible course is, that's what the Ansible tool is meant for. Then so if you are working within a multiple systems in a same time, then how you can specify that? So you have to specify all of them in a inventory, then you call them. So the Ansible will go and execute the commands on each of the groups. So how we can make them as a groups, so how we can make them as an inventory for executing the playbooks or executing the ADA commands, all this stuff. So it does this by selecting portion of systems listed in Ansible inventory, so which defaults is being saved in the location /etc Ansible host. So basically you don't need to create or add the groups or the inventory only in /etc/Ansible/host file. So you can also create a custom inventory files, so where you can also create in your home path, or you can also create somewhere else. You can call that file inventory file and execute the playbooks and execute the ADA commands. So but by default, when you do not provide anything, so the by default is /etc Ansible host is the file which will Ansible call by defaultly. You can specify a different inventory file using -i, so the path of the inventory file option on the command line. So that's what you can do. Manual inventory, so because so whenever you have a hundreds of systems, you have the your inventory details like their IP address, system names, their usernames and passwords. That's enough for our task to create the manual inventory. But sometimes what happens, whenever you have a cloud environment or whenever you have a big environment where like hundreds of servers are coming up and going down or coming up and commissioning and decommissioning happening, then that time you cannot keep track of them by manual inventory. So you cannot always modify the files, like whenever it is deleted, added, all the stuff. So like example, AWS environment or the cloud environment, whenever, so according to the requirement, we spin off an EC2 instances and we terminate them. Okay, so keep track of all the EC2 instances and what are there and how many are terminated, all of stuff. That's not possible always by maintaining the manual inventory. So that time we need some dynamic inventory, so which should be integrated with your CMDB tools or the cloud inventory systems, LDAP, or any other system which you are using as a centralized inventory tool. So where you can integrate Ansible plugins and scripts with them, so that the Ansible plugins and scripts go and get the inventory and automatically they will do it. So whenever the system has been removed, it will also remove from the inventory. Whenever the system is added, it will also add the automatically the system into the inventory. So that's a different part. We are not checking that dynamic inventory right now, so we will check it up in later classes. Currently, how we can create the manual inventory files. So let's see that. So now, so what is the rules? So what is the mechanism you can use to do a manual listing. So manual listing based on the maybe like location. Example, say that I have a servers in US location, so I will create the group called USA and I will add all of the host, or maybe it's server role like some of the web servers, database servers, or some of the monitoring tool servers or other stuff. So based on your requirement you can create it, or maybe a application installed. Example, say that the playbook whenever you are running, so it would be easy that a simple all applications installed. Example, say all web servers I wanted to run some modification on them, then you make of that application as a group, then run the playbook against to it, so that the modification can be done on all of the application servers. Maybe it's different from the production and development, or there are so many parameters. Based on your requirement you create the inventory groups, but these are the small examples where you can use them. So the single host can be a part of multiple groups. So example, say that you have a web server, the web server is part of, example, say that I wanted to create the group based on the operating system. So the web server is in a Linux server, so that it is part of the web servers group and as well as the part of the OS group. So like that you can create or you can add the single host into the multiple groups. Include multiple groups as the another children. Like example, say that you have created the groups like web servers, database servers and so many groups, but I wanted to have one more group called all servers. In that I would like to include all of these groups as a children. So whenever I call all servers, then it should call all of the group into the that all servers group. So I will show you in demonstration, don't worry about it. So inventory is most useful for the most useful configuration of the Ansible, because this is required for our ADA commands and playbooks all the way whenever you are using the Ansible. So keep that in mind and let's jump into the practical. So now I am into the master Ansible machine here. So you can also see that there is a node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4 also I have logged into, but those node 2, node 3, node 4 are not required right now, but in a upcoming execution of the ADA commands we need those hosts, so that I connected them. So now by default, if you want to create a Ansible groups, so where you have to go, you have to go here on the host file. So currently I just already created some windows here, but here I would like to create a fresh list. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to create a local host, and I would like to create Ansible -master dot techarkit dot local and node 2 dot techarkit dot local and node 3 dot techarkit dot local and node 4 dot techarkit dot local. So every time, so if I would like to call, example, say that, so here, so I have to call node 1, node 2, node 3, techarkit local domain, all the stuff, right? So in this way I don't want to call all of them with the full name or the domain name, so I would like to create some short names for them. So how we can call them? So first of all, I would like to create a small group here. So I'm saying that the group called servers, simple servers, and here what I'm going to do, I'm going to add all of them here. So now what I have made one group called servers. So I have added all of these hosts. Whenever I call these servers group, so the Ansible is going to run into all of these nodes and execute whatever I play there. So it may be a play or it may be a adapt command. So here if you'd like to create something like different stuff, aliases. I would like to create different aliases over here. So I don't want to call all of them like full names or something like that. So I will create a short names for them. So and I will call up them with the short names only. So maybe for the master I say master here, and I am tying up this full name with this short name, that is called as a short name or sweet name. We can call it as Ansible underscore host equal to the host name here, the complete host name, or maybe you can also give the IP address if you do not have any DNS or you did not set a host file there. So what is the connection I'm going to create here? Ansible underscore connection is in a one more string here. So which connection you would like to use? Maybe if it is a name Linux, you maybe use SSH. So here I would like to call Ansible user. So which user should I use to run the commands on these machines always? So how we can use, maybe I will create some users on all the systems and provide some permissions to that user, so that it automatically goes and runs using that user only. Maybe I say that Unseeable user 1, or maybe I call it as Unseeable u1, so that is the username I would like to use in all the systems. So we just go ahead and create that users on all the systems. So Unseeable, maybe if you would like to also specify the password, but I strongly recommend do not specify any passwords on this configuration. So but here just I would like to give the password. So just like you can provide, this option is there, but if you have it, most of the systems which have the different passwords, then you can specify the passwords. You don't need to type all the passwords whenever you execute the connections to the systems. So or you can also create the passwordless connection if you would like to create, then you don't need to provide any password here. Okay, so now I would call node 2 here in same way. So I would like to copy this everything here, and I just only change this full name here. Okay, let's see this. So another way of creating the group with the children's. So how you can do is that you can maybe, let's say that all, I just say that all, then which means that all the servers, then I call it as children. Okay, so here I can call of them like the groups. Example, say that servers, maybe I can create one more group called nodes here, and say node 2 and node 3 and node 4. So here I just add the nodes as well. So now maybe I do not have much servers, so that's why I'm just trying to show you the group configuration in the similar server names. So here, if you example say that you have a server site, different server site, okay, and if you have a different nodes again, and all of them you can call here as a children's. Now whenever you call all here, all, then all the servers will be executed, like the in the command or the playbook will be executed on all the servers. So this is what the configuration here. So now let's go ahead and run some commands here. So Unseeable So example say that I'm just going to call servers group here, and I'm just going to use module called ping. So now what it says that it's going to execute cannot establish the connection. You have to have the connection first time, so say yes. Then which says that the connection is permanently added to the node 1 list known as a. So why you will get this error at the first place? Because so whenever you are trying to connect to the node, so which will generate some fingerprints to store into your known host file, where you can go to this /ssh. Here there is a known host configuration, known host file. So with this known fingerprint should be added into the known host, then only say that the SSL protocol can be established the connection with the remote host. Okay, so in order to do that, you have to go ahead and do a something like this. Every node 192.168.48.201, then say yes, then you have to type the password here. So then this way you have to establish all the known host list here, then only you can avoid that error. Otherwise you can also avoid this error by changing the configuration file. So Ansible.configuration file, here there is a configuration called host key. So you can search key, then you can see this host key checking. So if you check this one as a false, then you can avoid that one, but this is not recommended anyway. So you can see that that one will gone, but it says that the permission has been denied because we have a key as a list known key here, but we do not have any SSH passwordless connection here. So I have to provide the password in a host file so that I can able to successfully do a connection to all the hosts. So here you have to specify the password Unseeable _SSH_pass. So in all the configurations, so here also, and here also, and here also. Now trying to do a ping, so now you should get the ping configuration. So but it is getting that the permission has been denied, it's not able to log into the remote machine, so which says that the password has been wrong. So in this case what you have to do is that you have to do a SSH passwordless connection establishment between the all the nodes. So before creating the passwordless authentication, so what you have to do is that you have to create the user. So here user add. So what I'm going to do is that Unsip u1 is the username I'm just going to create as we mentioned in the configuration file. So that's why we could not able to get the Unsip user there, so that's why it give the error. So I have provided the username here called Unsip u1. I have provided the password here, but there is no user exists. That's why it says the permission has been denied. But if you say different user, then it should connect to the remote machine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to create the same user here, and I set the password the user as I mentioned there. Okay, now so in order to execute some root commands or the privileged commands, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to add a sudo was here and say at the here I'm permitting the user to execute all the commands. So for that I'm just going to add this way all equal to in bracket I say all and say no password. So it should not ask any password whenever I execute any commands with the sudo privileges also on that host. So that's why I would like to create this sudo policy, so that the user, whenever I switch back, example say that Ansible U1, sorry, it's a Ansible U1. So now whenever I do this sudo, so it become a root, but it will not ask any password. So that way you have to set up these configuration in all of the nodes. Let's quickly create. As the same user and configuration. So now let's try to log in. So I have to remove that Ansible configuration which I made for the key to be false. So here, so I just going to comment this one. By default the host will be verified, and I have to create the passwordless connection. So now use SSH keygen to generate the key here, -t, and RSA type is RSA. Now the key has been generated here in the .ssh. So this is the key file which is generated. So in order to get the configuration, the passwordless authentication to the remote host, so I have to generate the SSH keygen here also, but not required on the host, but just for creating the .ssh directory and with the correct permission. So I'm just going to generate the SSH keys on all the host. Okay, so now I have generated all the key. Now what you have to do is that just copy the SSH keys to the remote user. So copy ID, and you can specify the username Ansible U1 at node 2. So now it says that yes, and provide the password. The connection, the user with the SSH key will be copied. Now I'm just going to make to the node 3, and similar way node 4, and similar way Unseeable master. to 168.48.200. okay, and so now all the host has the SSH connection, and the fingerprints has been added to the local host. You can see that known .ssh and known host. You can see that all the host with their known fingerprints has been added. Now if you do a Unseeable, and I would like to call the servers group and use a ping module to ping all of the servers, and let's see that. So now I could able to get the ping, but here I could not able to get the node 4. Maybe I have specified root node 4 here, so that's why I could not able to get the here. So maybe the username is wrong or something like that in the configuration file. Unseeable host node, so here there is a node 4, this one. Now let's try to ping it, and node 3 is failed because fingerprint is not added to node here. So now I can just do SSH Unseeable U1 at node 3, and which is already added. So that's it. So that's how you can configure your Ansible environment for the practice. So that's about it guys for this video. Stay tuned, look up the description for more links and playlist. Please follow us on social networking sites. One is Facebook. The Facebook page name is @Linux Arkit. You can click on this button here and click like page so that you can follow us on Facebook. The next one is Instagram. Instagram page name is arkit.co.in. Click on follow button to follow me. And Twitter, if you have any questions on subject line, or if you have anything, you can just tweet me at @ravikumar48. So I will reply you most on the tweet back. For anything related, if you want to latest articles on my website, so here is my website details and email address details. You can reach me over here.